kind to people, help people. There's no such thing as competition because there's only one you.
This is Amber. Hi, Amber.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well. You good?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Perfect. So I'm just going to hand over the microphone to you. If you can introduce yourself and what you're about, and then we can go into the conversation from there.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for having me today. My name's Amber Leach and I am a serial entrepreneur. I started my wedding photography business 8 years ago. That led into coaching and mentoring around 4 or 5 years ago. And then this January, I launched a marketing agency, which is very exciting. And then this month, I opened a luxury holiday let. So I've got 4 businesses, which I never thought I would have. And yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Now, something you said straight away up from the start. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. Where did that energy come from to roll into the passion ideas and turn it into a business? Where does that come from?
Well, I never, ever had on my career radar to be a business owner. I did a degree in conservation biology. I loved photography, but never really thought it would be a kind of business. So I did a degree in conservation biology because I love traveling. But during that time, I ended up doing quite a bit of photography for events and things like that. A couple of weddings, etc. When I graduated, I ended up getting a job in marketing. So I ended up doing marketing and PR for around 10 years. Then one day, the business that I was working with just announced that they were making huge cuts. They called it a restructure. They were making lots of people redundant. We didn't know who it was. They just said, we're going to go from, say, 400 staff to 200 staff. Every area is going to be affected. It was horrific. They didn't deal with it very well. I was freaking out, obviously. So I was talking to a friend one day and she said, well, you're a really good photographer. Just do that. And I thought, yeah, maybe. So I set up a Facebook page, started sharing my images, and then just, literally, I think I was quite lucky. It was around the time I had a child. Lots of my friends had children. Lots of my friends were getting married. So suddenly I just started getting bookings for family photo shoots, bookings for weddings, bookings for this, bookings for that. To cut a long story short, within 6 months, I went part-time after a couple of months. And then within 6 months, I quit my job and had this wedding photography business. And that's where it all started. And then from that, things have just led one into another. And then now I've got 4 businesses, which I can't actually believe.
So how do you manage your time? This is really interesting when you have multiple businesses, because, being in this space, I know it's like 20 balls that you're juggling at any one time, and you have to have the energy to do it as well, because it's there has to be some purpose behind each thing that you're doing, and that's the reason that you do it and the way you enjoy it for you to continue on that. Just as Ceylon can start something, just as quickly we can finish it as well, right? So it's actually that doesn't serve me anymore, and I'm going to spend more time on doing other things. Now, first of all, let me ask you one question. How do you manage your time? Because I think that'll be really interesting to hear. But secondly, how do you choose what to spend your time on when between the different purposes that you have right now?
Yeah, really good question. So I'm really passionate about work-life balance. When I started my business, I started it because so my daughter is called Liberty Pearl, and I became a single mum when she was about 6 months old. So it was obviously quite a struggle working full-time with a child in childcare. And I just thought, that's one of the other reasons why I quit my job, is because I didn't want her to be in childcare for the rest of her life, 8 till 6 school wraparound care, etc. And so I decided to do that and created the business that fitted around my lifestyle. So it was great. I got to spend loads of time with her. I worked out of the home probably one day every other week, because I probably did about 20 to 30 weddings a year. The rest of the stuff I did while she was at school. So it was really good family kind of focused business. However, I didn't realize at the time, but because it was just me and her, I didn't have a partner at the time. So when I was at home in the evenings, I would just work because she was in bed, didn't really have anything else to do apart from watch TV or something like that. So I ended up setting up my business with actually quite an unhealthy work-life balance because there was nothing else for me to do. I just worked. I obviously love digital marketing. So a lot of my time was spent marketing my business from home, which was obviously free. I didn't enjoy wedding fairs. So for me, I would spend all my waking hours marketing. Hence the reason my business was so successful. However, I think 3 or 4 years into my business, I met my husband on a dating website. We got married. We didn't move in together till we were married because we're Christians. When we moved in together, he was like, "Oh my gosh, you work all the time." I was like, "No, I don't. I just work." He's like, "You literally work every moment possible when Libby's in bed." So that was a real eye-opener because I realized for me it was a good work-life balance, but obviously my life had changed. So then I started reflecting on what was I doing? What can I outsource? What should I be spending my time on? What are my priorities? Obviously, my husband, my stepson, my daughter was always my priority, but then she went to bed early. So it's just your life changes, businesses evolve, they get busier. So then I did have an admin person, but I actually got her to do a lot more. I started outsourcing my editing. I got a team of photographers. So I grew my business, which was actually a really good, it coincided with my business growth anyway. And I kind of had to do it. So I just had to outsource to give my time back. So it turned out to be a really good exercise, which I may not have done if I hadn't met my husband. So from that point, work-life balance is really important to me. That's obviously been a journey because you can't just suddenly change everything overnight. You have to build in new processes. I had always had a lot of automation in my business. So I use a program, a CRM system called 17 Hats. There are many out there. This is a really good, I don't know if everyone's heard of CRM systems, but essentially it manages, I run 3 businesses from it, got 3 different brands on it. So I run all of my leads, all of my inquiry forms, any kind of email automation, any invoices, contracts, questionnaires, booking forms, just anything to do with my business is on there. You can automate it 100%. I don't, I tend to personalize it, but that was literally life-changing. It helped me to just make my business run. It helped me get more bookings. It made my lead conversion much better because of consistency. So that would be my first tip to anyone. When you're starting out, start with a CRM system. You almost don't know what you need until it's too late. So for me to then transfer all of my information onto a CRM system, all of my processes and email templates took weeks because my business was so extensive. Whereas if you start with one, it's much easier to build up. So that's my first tip for work-life balance and for prioritizing is automate and use a CRM system. Mm-hmm. There are loads out there. I can't think of any at the minute. I think there's Blue Light. For photographers, there's one called Studio Ninja. But I think for me, 17 Hats does everything. It's really easy to use and the customer service is brilliant. So highly recommend that. But moving on a few years. So today, my life looks very different. I think through the process of achieving that great work-life balance, I always tried to book in a date night with my husband. Didn't always work, but little things like that. I think people think you need a huge amount of time with your family and you're going to have to sacrifice your business. But actually with my eldest daughter after school every week, we would go for a special time in a cafe. We've probably done that every Tuesday for as long as I can remember. It doesn't always happen, but for me and her, that was really special to have that time. I would always be at home at dinner time. We would always have dinner time together as a family. Sundays, my husband works, which is unfortunate for our family, but it meant I got special time with my daughter on our own. I wouldn't book shoots on a Sunday. And also on my out of office, I say Sunday is family time. I go to church, probably won't reply, but I will reply as soon as I can. And also I work Saturdays for weddings, but any Saturday I don't work, we always plan a family day. It took me a few years probably 5 years before I actually started planning my holidays in January. And because my weddings are very seasonal, obviously over the holidays, usually very busy. But I slowly realized if I didn't book in these holidays, I would literally work the whole summer, the whole Easter, the whole half term, because lots of brides are teachers. They want to get married in the holidays. So now every January, we book all of our holidays. Obviously, coronavirus has kind of messed that up a bit, but we booked camping trips. So we've already had one. We've got 2 more coming up in the summer. And I'm sure we're going to try and get away somewhere else as well. So for me, having that in, and to be honest, this year, our first camping trip, I did have to shoot a wedding in the middle of it. However, it was a 4-hour wedding, mini wedding because of the restrictions, but I still got to go on that holiday. And then my husband and my stepson got to spend a nice day fishing together. So we made it work. It's not perfect, still, could be better. But now, 8 years in, I've had a baby. She's 18 months old. And for me, I still had to work. Obviously, at the beginning, it was lockdown. So my other daughter was at home. So it was slightly different. But from September, when she was about 9 months old, I booked her into nursery. So she goes to nursery 2 days a week. And at the time, I wasn't really turning over much money because of coronavirus stopping everything. But I knew for my own sanity, my work, my commitments and consistency in my business, I needed that time. So I wasn't working all night when she was asleep. And then my husband has her on a Friday. So for me, I work 3 days a week. That's it. I'm really strict on it. And I have a couple of coaching clients in the evenings and maybe the odd phone call with bride and grooms. But for me, working 3 days a week, I'm really, really strict. I manage my time hour by hour. I use the Pomodoro technique to time what I'm doing. I have to-do lists every day. I map out my days hour by hour. It doesn't always work. And sometimes my meetings go on, etc. But I really try and prioritize on the Sunday night what's going on in the week. And I revisit that every day just in case something else comes up. Sometimes I'll have a last minute press request or something. So, that will bump up the list. But my main focuses are marketing. If I'm not marketing, I'm not going to get any business. My second focus is keeping my customers happy at the moment. And then what else do I do? Oh, yeah, invoicing and, getting those, make sure the invoices are out, making sure my admin, like booking forms, calendars are up to date. I have got an admin person, but I have a catch up with her once a week. And I'm really surprised how much I can actually do in 3 days. And on my days off, I'm really strict. I plan in loads of baby stuff with mummy friends, and which means if I've got my baby around, I can't sit on my computer editing. It just won't work. So for me, I feel really proud of myself because I've never worked part-time. And even though I could have done, I always chose to work. And now I feel like I always thought I had a good work-life balance, but now I feel like I've actually got more family time than work time, but my business is still, sometimes thriving, sometimes ticking along, depending on if it's school holidays, etc. But I really feel now that, I've really got it and I'm really enjoying it. And I kind of feel like I don't ever want to work more than 3 days a week now because it's really fun and I enjoy my family time. And, I sometimes do work late at night, like I'm doing my website, my new website at the moment. So sometimes, when you start something, you just want to get it finished. So I have had the odd late night, which does happen. But yeah, I really feel like it's been a really long journey. It's something I'm really passionate about. And I believe that, I think the belief is that if you're growing a business, if you are successful, you have to be in the 5 a.m. club. You have to do this. You have to work all the hours under the sun. You have to do a 7-day week. You have to ignore your family. Your marriage, could potentially break down, but actually you have to put the business first. And it's not right. And I really feel sad when people are so consumed by their business that they just hate it, which, I've been there and, they're neglecting their family. I've done that as well. And, it is something I'm really passionate about. And, it's so easy to outsource. And actually, if you outsource to an editor, you can then take on 5 more bookings. So, it just maths makes sense, but it takes such a long time to let go as an entrepreneur, it takes a long time to realize and have the confidence that actually if I outsource and invest now, I can make that money back 10 times over by, obviously photography is a bit different, but with other people, it could be admin or things like that. So yeah, obviously I'm a bit passionate about work-life balance, so I've gone on a bit too long, but yeah, it is something that is a journey, I think, for entrepreneurs. How have you found it with work-life balance?
It's so funnily, there's so many things that resonated with me while you were talking, because being on a similar journey now I've been in the space for 21 years, so so a long time. So many things that you mentioned there. One of the key things for me was the thing at the start. So the first 10 years was just about growing. I thought of an idea, you start rolling with it, you go with it, that mindset, because you have so much energy and you're like, I need to funnel this through into different sources. So I had a home technology business, which I still have. I opened a Pizza Hut, then I opened a trade business, and I had an online when online started, all these things. And then what was really interesting about the whole thing was what you mentioned about when you got married and you had your husband and stuff. And what I found is that my wife was always corporate. So when listen to this, Amber, this will make you laugh. When we actually got married, that month when I got married, so I was August 2003 is when I got married. And in that same month, so I planned the wedding and the honeymoon. So that was there. I was opening my first Pizza Hut. I bought my shop for my other business that was completing in August. And we bought our first house, which was completing as well. And all that happened within 1 month. And I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, fuck, how did I even do that? Like, you know what I mean? At the time, everything just seemed to line up and it worked, right? Now, what was really interesting is that then she came into my life, and then it was a case of I continued more or less in the same trajectory, and she got it for a bit. And then at one point, so we're still working corporate at the time. So she'd get up at 9 o'clock. She'd get up at 7, leave the house at 8. I'd still be in bed. I'd get up at 9. She'd ring me from her desk saying, "Are you awake? We need to be awake." I go, "Fine." I'd get up, do all my stuff. I'd leave for work. So that was 10 till 6. And then from another business from 6 till 2 in the morning. So I'd get back home and she'd be in bed. And that happened for 6 days a week. And then one day, which was a Sunday, which was the time together. And after about 6 months of that, and this is when we first got married as well. So it was like, even though we knew each other for a long time, we got first married. And then after 6 months, you go, this can't carry on, you know that? And I was like, oh shit, okay. Now I need to work out how to get a weekend off and stuff like that. And she got it. And then it's funny because all the time I was always fighting, which was, okay, I still want to get this done and this and this, but I know I need to spend some time, with the wife, or spend some time doing other things, not working. But I didn't see it as work. I loved what I did. So you're always thinking about it, your brain's always on, and you're like, yeah, I want to get this done. Let me just get this done. Okay, let me just quickly get this done. That's always gets right.
Sounds like me.
And then funny thing is that she then left corporate. When we had our kids, she left corporate. She stopped working, and then I was the main income man and stuff. But after about 8 years of that, she goes, "I'm going to set up my own business, and I want to do fitness and nutrition and things like that." And since she started, which has been the last 6-8 years, something, she now gets it in terms of the way I used to be. In terms of she'd be like, "Oh, let me just sort this email out. I'm going to sort this customer." I said, "But you're doing it all the time." She goes, "Do you remember I say that to you?" So if you have two people, I found, Amber, I don't know if your husband, does he work or is he?
He works in corporate. He's an operations manager. Yeah.
There you go. So that was the key to me. When she worked corporate, she didn't get the way I thought about life and my brain being, we'd be watching a movie and I'd be watching something. I'd be like, "That's a brilliant idea what he's just said. I reckon I could do something like that." It's like, don't you ever switch off? Like, just watch the movie. Think about that. And I think that's the entrepreneur mind. We see opportunities in so many things, don't we? And we almost have to rein ourselves back, don't we? We have to sort of say, actually, just switch off one moment. It's like a conversation with ourselves, isn't it? But just switch off. Amber, just switch off one moment. It's fine. It will be all right till tomorrow. Just leave it. So I get it. It's almost like I'm hearing myself. 10 years ago, I'm hearing exactly what you're doing. So is brilliant, and I love being that space. But there is a danger as well, Amber, which I will confess. You can get to a point where you take on too much, and then you're like, I can't. When financial crisis happened in 2010, and I've been open about this. At that point, I had same thing, 4 businesses, 45 staff, a huge turnover, and then the financial crisis happened, and I realized that I was quite a weak entrepreneur because I'd never planned for that. The plan was always grow, grow, grow. And then suddenly when everything stopped, similar to COVID, everything stopped, we were just over leveraged. And at that time, the difference was, Amber, government didn't help us nothing. It was literally, okay, you just sort yourselves out. And the bank shop, no one was lending money. And it was hard, And then the next 8 years was a case of slowing it all down, actually selling a business, slowing it down, and then getting back to, why did I start in the first place? And now I'm in that space. I love it again. But I had to go through that. Like you said, hating it. I hated it, and it was so hard, and emotionally and physically, it just took so much out of me. But I'm so much stronger today, and I'm glad, I went through that process. So yes, I fully agree with your story there. Now, Amber, how, you said you worked in corporate for a while, and then you were almost forced out of that to then set that up. If that never happened, do you think your life would have moved this way, or do you think you would have still been sort of the corporate ladder?
I don't know. I was kind of getting annoyed a little bit because I can't remember which point exactly, but I remember there was a story in the newspaper about like the direct, I won't give any information because I don't like naming and shaming, but there was a story in the paper about the director of this corporate, and apparently they'd been cutting all this money in the business, but she'd been shopping in Dubai saying, oh yeah, I'm helping the Dubai economy by buying like 20 designer handbags. And we were just like, what? And it just made you think, oh, actually, this woman doesn't care about anyone at all. She's a complete liar. And it just really made me feel like I was just a number. And I think that was the time of the restructure as well. So if in the end, to be honest, we didn't get made redundant because we were in digital marketing, we actually got centralized and our team grew. So I just left anyway. But I think that whole process just made me realize I work really hard. No one actually cares. They just want what they want. Obviously, that's a very simple way of putting it. And I'm sure it wasn't, and not everyone was like that. There were some lovely managers there that I loved and learned a lot from. I learned a lot from working in the corporate world. But I think now it makes me realize that I'm not a very good person to be managed because I just like doing things my own way. I have my own ideas. And if someone tries to tell me what to do, I usually go against the grain. And some managers work with that and see it as a real kind of, benefit to them. And some people hate it. So now I've been an entrepreneur, I've realized, I probably wasn't the most easiest person to manage. So that's quite funny. So yeah, I don't know how long I would have lasted there. I did have quite a successful career. I did grow up that, I progressed quite quickly and I loved it. So yeah, who knows what would have happened really. I do get bored quite easily. So I was always looking for like the next thing to do in my career. But no, I don't know if I would ever have been an entrepreneur because I didn't have any business training. Obviously marketing is huge, and strategy and organization I brought to my business. But yeah, maybe I would have done some extra marketing qualifications or something. I don't know. But loads of my colleagues are still there now. So I don't know. It's a funny question. I've never thought about it.
It's interesting, though, you lasted that long in it. So you said 10 years roughly. So again, here's another mirror for you. When I finished university, and I did management in Leach, and then I finished that. And then just to keep my dad off my back, I went back to university because it's like, you need to go and get a job now. So, okay, I'm going to go back to university. So I did another year. So I enjoyed marketing part of management. So I did a marketing master's. Finished that and then went to London for 6 months, worked corporate. And then the only thing that I loved the job, I loved the work, I loved the people, everything. I just hated the politics, about getting on with people because you have to get on. And I was like, my idea of working is you work hard and you grow.
Yeah.
That it should be as simple as that, but it's not. It's about who you know and who you play golf with, and who you go to drink with on Friday night. All those other things, which I understand the importance of human connection, but these seem to overplay the even ability to work. I had people that I worked with that did, sorry about my language, but fuck all, and but still kept progressing, and I was like, how does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense, So therefore, I was like, okay, no, that's it. So I lasted 6 months, and I said, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. And I left, and just with like 500 quid in my pocket, I was like, let me try something. And I went back home to my parents, lived there at 24, and then set up my business and never look back. And I now classify myself as unemployable because I must be the most annoying person to employ, because exactly like you. When I have an idea, I just want to roll with it. I don't want to go fill in forms and then talk to this person about that person about. No. Let's just go with it. I know it'll be all right. And if we fail, it doesn't work. If we do, it does. So, yes, I'm trying to hone myself now. I'm an older version of that person.
Yeah.
I try and hone myself, say, actually, just think of one thing. Let's work on one thing for now, and let's do that. And it's hard, but it's a new muscle I need to build, and I like it. I actually like doing less with more time and stuff. But sometimes I don't know if you're similar to this. I find if I have too much time, then I become unproductive, because then there's a fine line in terms of balancing how much I do.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. And I learned that lesson actually in university, because I always worked, because my family weren't very wealthy. So I had to kind of pay myself for university with, grant, student loan, etc., and had a job. But I also volunteered because I worked in the environmental sector. And I remember going on a university field trip to Italy, and my course leader said, oh, in your final year, you can't have a job. You need to 100% focus on your studies. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Oh, so I quit my job. I quit my voluntary placement, and I had all of this time, and I completely fluffed it because I didn't know what to do. I had all this time. I was just like, I've got all this time. It's fine. And it was the worst thing I ever did. And I'm really cross that he flipping said that to me, because I was literally probably online for a first. I had all this time. I ended up going out with my friends because I was like, oh, I've got all this time. It's fine. And I literally had the worst year ever. I went out a lot. I did photography a lot, which I was kind of getting paid for, but it wasn't really that great. But I kind of started progressing my photography career in the music industry, which wasn't good timing. But I think because I had no other commitments, I was like, yeah, it's fine. So I totally learned that actually the more busy I am, the more productive I am, because I know that I've got, and that's why I think it's good probably with me with the baby, because I know Mondays and Thursdays I'm out of action. So I don't book in any meetings. I just say to people, if you want to have an hour conversation with a baby in the background, like poking the computer or, crying, fine, but I just can't do it. So it does mean that it's a bit frustrating, but it means that on those days I know, right, that's it. I've got till 5:15, and then, So I pack it in. Like yesterday, I was literally back-to-back meetings all day, and then till 6 o'clock I had to do my emails, and my husband's like, what's for dinner? I was like, I don't know, I've literally been in back-to-back meetings all day. So yeah, he made dinner, so that was good. But yeah, it's and that's another thing about work-life balance is communicating. So I think even though I'm at home working, I just say to my husband, look, he's great, he loves cooking, but I just try and, we schedule our meals. We try and make loads on a Sunday, and we try and fill the freezer up. So, because he doesn't want to come home, make dinner. I don't want to be the only one making dinner. So we really try and plan that, which saves us money and time. So yeah, that's another tip that I had to learn, is actually planning my meals, which you think, how does that make me more productive? But it does. So yeah.
And at the time when you're cooking, just cook more, right? And
I always do that.
Freezer's awesome, right?
freezer full of food. Yeah.
So if we think about just moving forward, right now, I can see the way you think. I can already work it out, the way you think about stuff, right? Now, you mentioned something about a new venture that you're starting and you're moving into. At what point, because it seems like you've gone full circle now, so you've gone into things which you have the most knowledge on. And when mentoring and supporting young people, I'll say there's always something that anchors you. There's some skill or knowledge or something that you do comfortably, you're good at, and you want to do, you want to learn, etc. Try and tie whatever business you're in into that, because you'll always want to do it and you'll always be good at it. Whereas if you like gardening, for example, and then someone says go and work the stock markets, you may not actually be that great, right? Even though it makes you a lot of money, because gardening, do something with gardening, So, and the world doesn't need to see another dentist; it needs to see a guy cut grass with love, And it's that analogy, isn't it? The world needs all sorts of people doing lots of things. Now, you going back to what you know and what you love in the marketing area, right? Why did it take these businesses to get to that space? Or was it always an idea that you were thinking of doing sort of earlier?
Yeah, really interesting question. No, it was never an idea that I thought I would do. As I said, never thought I'd do photography as a business or be a wedding photographer. I didn't really even enjoy looking at wedding photos. So it was honestly just... I don't like the word accidental entrepreneur, but I think I am one of those, because wedding photography, that happened as a personal challenge. When I was having some coaching, I decided I love setting goals and kind of giving myself a challenge. So I decided to set up a workshop, which was basically teaching photographers the things I wish I'd known when I started, because I still see it now, and it's why I'm a business coach and why I'm so passionate about it, is photographers, obviously, they've got photos. Loads of photographers are incredible at taking pictures. You look at them and think, wow, like more talented than I am, 100%, million percent. But they think they're rubbish because they're not getting bookings. It's not the quality of work. It's not their talent. It's their marketing and business. So for me, I thought, well, if I can teach people some top tips, it will help their business, because they've already got the skill. Photography, you can teach, but there's something inside some people that is just there, which means they're not necessarily the best marketer or business entrepreneur, business person. So I did a challenge to myself. I did a one-day workshop. I think I had about 10 people. And by the end of the workshop, they said, this was brilliant. When's the next one? I then started organizing editorial workshops, which were with models, wedding dresses, etc., to help build their portfolio, because some people wanted a little bit more portfolio. That led into a series of 16 workshops in the UK, and I did one in Provence for a week, which was incredible. And these covered marketing, social media, business, obviously photography, not necessarily the technical side, but kind of how to find your style, etc. I also started doing videography as well. That then led naturally into lots of the photographers saying, oh, actually, I would like to learn more about this. Can you coach me? So I then started coaching people, and I then turned that into a separate coaching business because it got really successful. During the lockdown, obviously there were no weddings. So I then started doing a lot of coaching, and that just picked up. I didn't really start advertising it. So while I was at home, I was doing a lot of coaching. I then thought, why don't I do this in an online course? So I launched a marketing course. I launched a destination wedding photography course, and I launched an Instagram social media course in January. I found that on the Instagram course in January, there were some great results. Some of the people got something like 18,000% more engagement. They got 400% more web visits. I knew it worked. Obviously, it worked from me. It had worked on my other courses, but it was working on this online group. It was great. But some of the people just didn't enjoy it as much as I did. I love social media. I love it. But I think it's another language that some people just don't understand. They don't enjoy, and it's not their gift and talent. And I almost think they don't want to do it, which is, loads of people hate marketing. So I then got this crazy idea. Would you like me to do it for you? So I did a poll in the group and in my networks, just on my Facebook groups, and said, if I was to offer a done for you marketing service, would anyone like it? And I put, could possibly include this. Let me know if you want any more information. Within it, I think I always post late at night before I go to bed. I kind of finish everything off. By the morning, I had 16 inquiries from people. I had 3 phone calls the next day, and I had 2 bookings for 6-month contracts. And that was in January. And it has literally exploded. As I'm only working 3 days a week, there's only so much I can do. So I've now, last week I advertised for a social media manager to join my team. And I've decided that I knew I loved it anyway, but I've decided for me, I'm still going to do my wedding photography. But to be honest, that's just, it's kind of just running along. I've got a team now, and it's a lot less for me to do. My coaching as well is great, but I found with wedding photography and coaching, I love the people side of it. But for my family, it takes me away from my family. So when I do a coaching, it's in the evening with face-to-face contact. With my wedding photography, obviously I'm out the house on a shoot. I'm not with my family at the beach. Whereas with marketing, it's all online. I can do it anytime. Obviously, the initial meetings I have to have with people, but that's usually 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But then the actual marketing, I can create a strategy, in the evenings, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it actually fits with my family. And I think long term, I'm nearly 40. We might want to have another baby. Weddings are amazing, but I can't see myself doing it into my 60s, coaching is brilliant, but it's a very, very, very competitive market. And I don't have any qualifications at the moment. And I also feel that lots of my coaching clients need help with marketing. So I started kind of offering it to my coaching clients. And it's just now people are coming to me. I had a meeting with a wedding venue the other day, which is really exciting. That hasn't booked, but it's still given me the confidence that actually, I might be doing the marketing for one of the top wedding venues in Cornwall. So yeah, it's just really exciting. And I think with being an entrepreneur, I think your life changes, seasons change, obviously coronavirus. If that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have decided to run marketing because I wouldn't have had time to create an online course. I wouldn't have had that extra time to, have those ideas. And I really feel like coronavirus has helped me step back and revisit everything. Obviously, not everything works. I've launched courses no one's booked on, or I've only had one person. So, I'm not saying, I'm this amazing entrepreneur and everything works. It's still a learning journey. I also created my marketing packages a bit too cheap at the beginning because I wasn't really sure how long it would take me. So when I then got my first couple of clients, I had to literally triple my prices now because I realized I'm actually giving so much value. They're getting amazing results and it's taking me a lot of time. So I've put my prices up and I'm still getting bookings. So it is a learning journey, but I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
And I think I love it because with coaching, people have to do the work and you can't force your students essentially to do the homework. So it really frustrates me. Loads of my clients are really good, but some people get really busy. Things happen. They don't necessarily do it all and then they're not getting the results. And I'm just like, come on, if you just do this, you'll get the results. So, whereas marketing, I do the work and I get their results and I can see the tangible outcomes. They can see it too. So I almost feel like it's a lot easier for people to think, well, they don't have to do the work. So,
yes.
The consultancy side of it, and obviously me doing the work is just, I'm just really enjoying it. And it's another way I can help businesses thrive, be successful and enjoy what they love doing, which, I love doing marketing. It's really funny. I'm working with a wedding photographer. She hates marketing, but she loves editing. So she's an editor for other photography businesses, whereas I'm now doing her marketing and I've got editors doing my editing. So it's just a really funny example of how, do what you love and outsource the rest. And that's one of my, huge mottos. So it's really, I don't think none of it has ever been planned, but it's just kind of, if you step out and try something, open those doors and see what happens. It doesn't always work, but why not give it a go? And I think that's the thing with being an entrepreneur. Obviously, I don't agree with investing loads of money in something that is a huge risk and you don't know if it's going to work. All of my things that I've done have been very low cost, online first, test it online before you go and employ someone or get a big office or something. So it's, but yeah, it's really interesting.
Just start moving, just start doing the work, right? And the rest falls into place. So that's perfect. Brilliant. Now, Amber, there's a couple more questions I'd like to ask you just before we end the podcast, which will just tap into a little bit of the deep thinking view. Now, we're going to fast forward 100 years into the future when we're at the last moments of your life. Okay. So You don't have enough energy to speak, but you have enough energy to share 3 words. Now, these 3 words have resonated with you all your life, and they've helped you. And you help by sharing them, it can help those people that are listening. What would those 3 words be for you, and why?
Oh my gosh. I think help. I love helping people, and people always say to me, oh, you're really helpful even at weddings. And I think, if I'm at a wedding and a baby needs picking up, or it's crying, or someone's dress needs doing up, I just love helping people. And I think, it's some people, it's just a really important thing for me to do in my life, but also I just can't sit by and see people struggle. So that's probably why I'm a business coach as well and do the marketing. So yeah, I think help or helpful. I think passion. I think for me, passion is really important. If you're not passionate about something, just do something else. And it's the same with people in jobs. A lot of people I coach have been in corporate jobs and they've just lost their passion. And I think in my business, I've also lost my passion and I've had to go and search for it again. So I think, there are 2 things. You can either quit or you can try and find it again. And I did that with photography. I lost my kind of creative passion and I found it again. So I think, you have to have passion for what you do. And also the passion comes from why you do it. So you mentioned that earlier, why are you an entrepreneur? Why did you set up a business? For me, it was family, work-life balance, to be able to create the life I wanted. So I think you have to be passionate about why you set up as an entrepreneur and keep that, I keep reminding myself, why have I done this? Well, it's so I can spend more time with my family. Okay, so why am I working really late and being tired and not spending time with my family? So you have to keep yourself in check. Mm-hmm. So yeah, passion, helpful, and I suppose family as well, because, my family comes first over everything. And I remember a friend having a baby and, I'm not judging, but she was saying, I'm having a baby, I'm going to take it to work. And, I know some people have to do that, but I was like, she doesn't have to do that. She's got enough money, like her husband, they share a business together. And I just thought, why are you having a baby? Like, works, and they'd been trying for a baby for a really long time as well. So it just made me think, I hope I'm never like, she obviously loved her job and everything, but I just thought, or their business, but I just thought for me, my family, like, I just thought I never want to have a baby and not want to spend time with it. I'm not saying that's what she wanted. I'm not like judging her, but it just made me think like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to be that person that just is obsessed with work and has a baby, but doesn't want to play with it and like go to baby groups. And, I love being a mum. And even though I am an entrepreneur, I almost think as well, I love being a wife as well. And I almost think that today, just being a wife and mum almost feels like that's not a good enough calling. And so for me, I'm really passionate. Yeah, I am an entrepreneur. I love my business, but actually what's the point in having all of that if you ignore your family, which I have done. I have put my business over my family and my husband. I have done that. And for me, I just thought, what's the point? If I lose my husband and family, why would I want this business? I'm doing that for them. So yeah, so I feel really blessed having a baby because it means that, I feel really blessed having a business because it means now I've got my baby, I can have time off with her. And I think my family, I have to keep that at the top of my mind. And I just hope that I do, maintain that balance. Because I do get really passionate about my business. I get passionate about helping people. And then my family sometimes slip down the list. So yeah, I think family, help, and passion. And it is a journey, add a journey in as well. And a
learning process as well, right? Learning constantly, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the last question I have is, this podcast is called Bigger Than the Hustle, and right now you're bigger than the world. So I've got a microphone and I've connected it up to 7.58 billion people on this planet. They can all hear you. They can all understand you. They all speak English. They're all awake and they're all conscious and they're listening to what you've got to say. I'm only going to give you 30 seconds now. I know you're going to find this hard, but I'm only going to give you 30 seconds. If you could share a message with the world for the next 30 seconds, what would that message be?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Oof. I'm wasting loads of time. I think it would be do what you love, spend time put yourself first as well. So find a really good hobby and keep that going. I think be kind to people, help people. There's no such thing as competition because there's only one you. So even though I'm a photographer, there are millions of other photographers out there, but get your personality out there. Don't be afraid to shine with your personality, with your strengths, with your passion, with your style, whatever business you're in. And even, make friends with people along the way, help as many people as possible because, you will get that back as well. Everyone's on a journey, so give people a lot of grace, I think. And money isn't everything. You can earn all the money in the world, but if you've left all your family behind and things like that, what's the point? And enjoy nature. I love nature. So I love wild swimming. I love photographing nature. I love going out in nature. And I think as an entrepreneur, I'm really blessed because I live in the Southwest by the sea, but I think, nature is just incredible and it is just amazing and I love it. And I feel so blessed that I can just look at the sea and swim in it and go for walks on Dartmoor. And so, I think enjoy nature as much as possible because it is beautiful.
There you go. And nature allows you to come out of your own head as well, to get out of your head and understand the enormity of this universe and what we live in. And I think it's always a grounding experience when we realize we're not the most important thing in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Our universe, So at this juncture, Amber, I'd really, really like to thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing so much. You've been like a tornado on here. Thank you. And you shared with such honesty. And I think there's so much learning from people that are just starting out on this journey because there's no set path. There's no rule book, just like being a parent. There's no rule book. You just figure it out on the way. And as long as you've got a mind to just continually adapt, pivot, whatever it is that you feel that you can serve the world with, just go out and serve it. And I'm sure Amber would agree with that. So thank you so much. Just before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's a real inspiration. And keep doing what you're doing because I think sharing people's stories is so important. And I think everyone's on a journey and it's really encouraging to hear kind of, everyone else's stories. I love your questions. They're so good. So well done for keeping it going. And I just hope lots of more exciting people come your way. And I look forward to listening to the next few episodes.
Thank you so much, Amber. So just as a juncture, this is a Bigger Than the Hustle podcast, and I'm Bhavik Patel. I'm your host. And a few thoughts to leave you with before we go. Big energy leads to big thoughts lead to big ideas lead to big actions, and big actions lead to a big life. So keep thinking big. Until next week, goodbye.
You come into this world empty-handed, you'll leave this world empty-handed. So what impact is it that you want to make in between, and how can you focus on being better, living life on purpose and with intention, and really finding that spark, that joy that's within you. And